Sometimes you get a small glimpse of something in a video game that makes you think, if I can just get a closer look. Well, now we can, because today I got with me one of my favorite creators, a little YouTuber you may know as Shesez.
Well, I appreciate that, dude. Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Shesez runs an awesome show on YouTube called Boundary Break, where each month he tries to take the camera anywhere he wants to find some secrets and new discoveries in some of our favorite video games. A must-watch show in the world of behind-the-scenes gaming. Me and Shesez came together this month for a collaboration across both of our channels. Today I thought it would be fun to dive into what me and Shesez consider to be some of the craziest discoveries that were hidden off screen that we were most definitely never meant to see. Brought to you by Manscaped. Use promo code Oddheader in the link down below to save 20% today. Jak 3. While the original Jak and Daxter was unquestionably a child-friendly platformer typical of Naughty Dog's earlier successes, the later titles in the series abandoned the bubbly atmosphere to broaden its appeal for a larger demographic, which also meant introducing a bolder array of characters for Daxter to sass off to, perhaps most memorably with Pecker, who fought endlessly with Daxter throughout the game.
I am Pecker. Yes, I know. My mother, she was very vindictive.
No moment perhaps better encapsulates this in Jak 3 when Daxter, angry at Pecker, tells Pecker how he really feels in a move that manages to fall just off screen.
I got a perch for you, Birdie, right here. Twirl it.
Back when this came out, we had no idea if Daxter really did do the deed. But thanks to a hack found a few years ago by one of my favorite YouTubers and hackers, Luminar Light, players no longer had to be left in the dark wondering if Daxter really did do the deed. As we can see, Daxter is actually doing a two-finger salute. Most viewers, especially from the US, might not think there's anything particularly wrong with this, but for many other viewers, especially in Europe, this can actually be seen as quite the offensive gesture. Considered comparable to the middle finger, and even appearing time to time in some of our most popular media, which, considering they could have had Daxter hold up anything, including perhaps most easily nothing at all, the fact they made him hold up these two fingers, which just so happened to be a fairly explicit gesture across the globe, seems to pretty clearly indicate that Daxter did indeed tell Pecker to twirl on it.
Twirl it.
Damn, Daxter really took it there.
Rise of the Tomb Raider. Thanks to Colino for this really awesome discovery submitted through Oddheader.com. Colino was playing the Rise of Tomb Raider Blood Ties DLC and noticed that the notebook computer on Laura's desk was illuminating a rather bright glow, obscuring anything that would have been on the display, even though you wouldn't think there was likely anything there to begin with. Colino's curiosity got the best of him, and he decided to hack the camera to sneak past the bloom effect. And to his surprise, he actually found a message on the screen that said repeatedly, "Hello, but what? Goodbye." This is gibberish for a screenshot. If this ends up on the internet one day, I will be super impressed. Well, ironically, it looks like that moment is now, given the fact that the developer never expected anyone to actually find this, and appears to have only been found 6 years after release. Colino definitely deserves to be commended for taking such a risk on something that seems so absolutely pointless, only to be met up with a very legendary result. And if that said developer, who I assume is now super impressed, wants to come forward and talk about it, feel free to reach out.
Halo. Combat Evolved. Thanks to Halo modder Lord Zedd for their tremendous help with this segment. A fairly iconic mystery I've yet to cover on the channel with some interesting pieces most people probably don't know about is the mystery of what Master Chief aka John 117 currently looks like underneath his helmet, which has been toyed with throughout the series. The end of the first game, Halo Combat Evolved, without spoiling much. After accomplishing the final objective of the game, Master Chief looks on at the constant destruction and in a brief moment of reflection, slowly removes his helmet for a breather only for us to barely miss it. Damn it. Early after the game came out, hackers modded the camera this cutscene slightly down and found underneath his helmet, in an interesting twist, was another helmet. Well, that sucks. Strangely, in the 2011 anniversary remake, inside the remastered helmet is actually a pair of eyes that didn't exist in the original helmet. It's currently unknown what the purpose of these eyes were for. In the same remaster, a texture can be found in the game named John 117 that appears as this, but is actually the face of Commander Carter from Halo Reach, which, unless the developers were trying to troll us, it's a complete mystery what their intentions were for these assets in the remastered game. Lastly, some players may remember in the Halo 3 multiplayer beta given out to players before release, if you use a glitch to clip the camera through a Spartan's head, you would see a rather unexpected odd head. At the time, everybody was saying it was supposed to be Master Chief's face. The theory that I remember is it was supposed to be for a cut lighting effect, where you could see a silhouette inside the helmet whenever there was a nearby explosion. However, YouTuber General Kid, who I believe to be the Halo expert, recalls it was supposed to be an Easter egg that was removed of a developer's face. However, his memory is also foggy on this and information on the subject is scarce, so the jury is still out on this one.
Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid certainly has its share of provocative moments. Insert any one of the countless awkward Metal Gear Solid moments here. One off-camera moment that's remarkably confusing is a discovery found by Richard, who shared this with Oddheader on Twitter. As in the original game, there's a part where Snake is face to cheeks with a naked Johnny, stripped and unconscious with a pixelation effect in-game over the offending area. While we're not asking questions, Richard got on the floor as Snake and got as close to Johnny as possible, so he could zoom in with the scope and found he was able to go past the sensor bar and, well, for Oddheader's sake with YouTube, as well as pretty much everybody's sake, we're not going to show you the full thing. But to explain, in an odd turn of events, not only is each... You're really gonna make me say that, huh? Not only is each completely bottled, but there also appears to be a faded black texture of a circle that stretches across the split between both cheeks. I'm not exactly sure why there's so much detail there. Maybe to create some sort of realistic effect with the pixelation? Either way, I think that we were all better off not knowing that there was so much detail behind that sensor.
The Sims 3. A rather notorious off-camera moment many likely remember is The Sims having the ability to woohoo and try for a baby, which consisted of the Sims jumping under the covers while the sheets rustled around everywhere. Well, especially curious players found in The Sims 3, if the player was to open up the cheat command prompt and type in testing cheats enable true, and then hold shift and click on the bed, and then remove the object at just the right time when the Sims jumped under the sheets. Oh my god. Apparently this opens up the 7th layer of hell. This is how babies are made in The Sims? I think it would have been more at ease just seeing the real thing. A similar trick can be done in The Sims 2, if you were to use the Move Objects cheat and then rotate the Sims at just the right time. Oh! I don't know why I was expecting that to be any less disturbing.
Devil May Cry 5. In the last few years, monitor manufacturers have released 32:9 ultra-wide displays, essentially serving as an alternative to having two side-by-side monitors. While certainly impressive, 32:9 displays still present a number of issues. One of the examples being that most games weren't designed for their extreme resolutions. MerenaryTau on the Oddheader Discord was playing Devil May Cry 5 and did a 32:9 widescreen hack of the game, only to find that they could see well beyond the margins of the cutscenes, revealing that the developers reasonably never expected anyone to see so far past the border of the screen. MerenaryTau was surprised to notice in this moment of the game that he could see the cloaked figure, aka spoiler character, crawling creepily moments before he actually appears in the game in Onslaught's Nero. MerenaryTau suspects they originally wanted a panning shot but later decided that his introduction would be impactful from Nero's perspective. Either way, stumbling across the mystery assailant moments before their violent attack in a shadowy corner is definitely a spooky sight to behold.
Aliens vs. Predator 2. Primal Hunt. Thanks to Doomguy for submitting this through Oddheader.com. Primal Hunt is a 2002 expansion pack to 2001's Alien vs. Predator released on PC. In the introduction of the story, Soldier Dimitri is alerted by his commanding officer that quality time with his fiancée Major Dunya is over as he wants her to come straight to the office. Dimitri goes to Dunya in an extremely early 2000s PC gaming moment as he interrupts her while she stands brazenly in the shower. Again, for a moment, this scantily skating the line. You probably wouldn't expect there to be a whole lot modeled behind what can't be seen on screen, which probably would have been a good idea to do considering how easy it is to break this scene. As Doomguy found, if you were to load up any custom level that features an exit to nowhere, and you were to then go through that nowhere exit, you would end up in the intro cutscene where you could easily see Dunya's whole shebang. Were they even trying to hide this? Once again, there's really no way to show you this on YouTube easily. This is a lot more detailed than what would normally be a Barbie doll. This one's up for the position of the easiest found, most unjustified piece of hidden nudity ever discovered in a video game. And there's a lot of competition in that space.
Animal Crossing: New Horizons. So this was a discovery on my channel that I'm pretty sure was so scandalous that Nintendo themselves tried to take it down. Thankfully I was able to get that video back up, but the theorized offending piece of media was that in Animal Crossing New Horizons, if you remove all the clothing from your villager, you're usually left with a top and a bottom. However, the model still continues beyond those clothing items, and as a failsafe for folks like me and Oddheader, Nintendo made sure to make all the models never nudes, as in even down to the skin, there's a texture that covers over the chest and the groin. I think it goes without saying Nintendo never created a situation in which this would appear in the game. I mean, unless they're considering including a moment closer to what we saw in The Sims earlier, but honestly, it's probably better we forget about that.
Medal of Honor, Above and Beyond. Thanks to Jack Stryker for submitting this through Oddheader.com. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond sees the series return after nearly a decade for a VR exclusive experience on Steam. And a fun aspect of VR at this point in time is that players can pretty much exploit any scene by moving their head at funny angles in the environment. One instance of this that's particularly on occurs when you meet some members of the French Resistance in a bookstore hideout, who reveal they've been receiving leads from the inside from a rat trader of the French. When asked why the trader even agrees to work with them, they reveal,
"Because we have photographs. This man is depravity incarnate."
well, they gotta be teasing us here because there's gotta be something good over there. Fortunately, since this is VR, we can just glitch ourselves over this table and... What? What the... Guess they weren't kidding when they said he was a rat.
Heavy rain. So there was this one time I covered this game on my show, Boundary Break, and all the footage was donated to me, meaning I had to go through all the footage and just see what this other person found. Well, one of the things I didn't feature in that episode was a scene involving Ethan Mars from another angle, and for obvious reasons, me and Oddheader are not going to be revealing it here either, but I can confirm once and for all, the protagonist Ethan Mars, for some reason, does in fact have a fully modeled Winky Doodle. It honestly wasn't the first and probably won't be the last Winky Doodle that I find on this show, but it never gets any less surprising to find out that someone was on payroll for 3 years, and during that time, they slaved away making a nasty no-note for a man that will never be shown to the public.
And speaking of that subject, you might just want to check out Manscaped. Thanks again to Manscaped for being such an awesome support through the channel this season. Manscaped continue to hook me up with a bunch of awesome tools in their Performance Package kit. The Lawnmower 3.0 is definitely the product of this package with the waterproof trimmer and the advanced skin-safe technology, which reduces nicks and cuts, which I can honestly say I've never had a problem with this in that regard. And now it comes with the Weed Whacker nose, ear, and hair trimmer, which truly makes the Performance Package kit the complete package. And just when I thought Manscaped couldn't get any more quality, they sent me the Shears 2.0 Luxury Nail Kit. It has you covered in all things toes and nails. And for a limited time, you get all of this plus 2 free gifts, the Shed Travel Bag and the Manscaped Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs. And also check out the newly redesigned Refined Cologne, now available in the US and Canada only. Go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off plus free international shipping plus 2 free gifts when you use promo code Oddheader at manscaped.com. That's Oddheader at manscaped.com to save 20% today. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. And thank you again to Shesez for the amazing collaboration. And don't forget to check out his channel to see the video I did for him. And if you know of any more things in video games that we were never meant to see, come join the Discord, submit to Oddheader.com, or even give me a shout on Twitter or Reddit. Shout out to Anna Morris, Athanasius Stasinos, Arizona T, Bitwith27, Cody Brody Whitlow, Combat 15 Bold, Dead Plastic, Decider 12, Dear Mid Crowley, Ed Moffat, Eddie Toxpin, Endergrove72, Flex, Jonathan A.L. Ornalis, Ponage Cakes, Rage Spot, Rise Sparrow, Reed Della Rosa, Riley S., San Caraco, Select, Sneaking J, Sasuke Akira, Scarities, Towerizer, Tylorco7, Wade Murdoch, Jan Veneer, and Yu Kirby for their Patreon support. Stay tuned.